Well, it's a pleasure to have John James on the program. He's the Republican nominee for the United States Senate in Michigan. The election is next Tuesday, a week from now. But Mr. James, it's an honor to have you on the program. Thank you.
Well, thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure.
Is there early voting in Michigan?
We have absentee balloting, but no early voting that we may see in other states.
All right, so it's very important that people get out on Election Day in Michigan. Tell us about your race, what the key issues are, and your opponent, too.
Of course. Well, the key thing about this race is we have the opportunity to move Michigan forward. I'm a combat veteran, an OIF veteran, a West Point graduate who served in Iraq in Operation Iraqi Freedom 0709, flew 750 hours combat over there, and came back to grow my family business from 35 million to 137 million, but most importantly, created 100 jobs in Michigan and around the country. I believe that having the experience in combat helps me to understand national security in a way that my opponent can't, and understand veterans issues in a way that my opponent has failed to, but also from a business standpoint, understanding how to grow our economy, but also create economic opportunity for people who have been failed for decades. My opponent is a 43-year career politician who spent 20 years in Washington and 18 years as a senator. And in that 18 years, she's only accomplished getting 5 of her co-sponsored bills into law, 3 of which are to rename buildings. I truly believe that we have folks in Washington who are legislating and regulating futures they're not going to be a part of, and this will not change until we stand up and take our government back.
That's amazing. How long has she been in the Senate?
She's been in the Senate for 18 years.
And she's been in state government forever, too, right?
Yes. She was actually first elected 43 years ago in 1975.
Wow.
And that's the year the Vietnam War officially ended. Yet, a number of weeks ago, she stood in front of a veteran service organization and said that she was unaware of veterans issues, that they weren't on her radar screen. We have been at war for over a decade and a half, and we still haven't welcomed our Vietnam veterans back home properly. And this didn't make a dent on her priority list. That's unacceptable. When I get to Washington, I'm going to make sure that we prioritize our veterans, that we prioritize health care, and we prioritize education to make sure that everybody has access to the American dream.
Now, your website is johnjamesforsenate.com. So if people want to contribute to your campaign all over the country and people in Michigan want to get involved in the last week of your campaign, they go to johnjamesforsenate.com, correct?
That's right. They can also follow me on Facebook and Twitter at JohnJamesMI. And let me tell you, this race is in play with my candidacy. When we first started out, we were 23 points down, and as of last Friday, 6 points down. But as we all know, the liberals have done a wonderful job of shaming people and bullying people into not expressing their opinions. And so given the fact that straight ticket voting is no longer allowed in Michigan, and the fact that conservatives don't poll, we vote, I believe that we're even closer than that. Last quarter, we outraised Debbie Stabenow $3.6 million, our $3.6 million to her $1.8, so doubled her up there. And between October 1st and October 17th, because of your listeners and some very faithful grassroots army folks around the state and around the country, we raised $2 million to her $471,000. We have the momentum in this race, and by your help and assistance, we're going to win this thing on November 6th.
Tell me about the 2 or 3 or 4 issues that you think are paramount.
Well, I mentioned them about the veterans issues. I believe that our veterans are facing.
Well, let me address it this way.
Yes.
Economically, the president seems to be doing the right thing. Your opponent opposed the tax cuts. I assume you would have supported them?
Absolutely.
Your opponent supports a massive bureaucracy with massive regulations without legislative authority from Congress that affects Democrats, Republicans, and every kind of business, whether it's car manufacturing or small businesses. I assume you support the direction in which the administration is going?
Absolutely, and this is part of the problem. Right now, you have people in Washington like Debbie Stabenow who are trying to legislate industries. They've never run a business before. And right now, the overburdensome regulation, the overtaxation, is creating environments that are actually shipping jobs off to places like China and Mexico and Turkey, and then selling those goods in to compete with us. That they're going to be that the administration is now correcting. I believe that by supporting a pro-business environment, it helps to bring all ships up. And folks like Senator Stabenow not only failed to vote for the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that also created opportunity zones in rural and urban areas around the country, but she's also voted to raise our taxes hundreds of times over the past 18 years. She's not a friend of business. She's not a friend of economic growth. And I'll tell you, she supports the socialist agenda that will bankrupt our children's futures.
And yet she goes back to Michigan, and she tries to appeal to Republicans, independents, blue-collar workers by doing this. I'm a moderate, I'm a centrist, I can work with the other side. But she's hardcore left, and she votes for Schumer to be the leader of the Democrats, and she votes against Kavanaugh. And she basically is a reliable left-wing vote, correct?
Mark, it's even worse than that. According to the Lugar Center, Senator Stabenow, despite all of her using bipartisanship as a buzzword, is the 69th most bipartisan senator in the United States Senate. That puts her more liberal than Elizabeth Warren. Debbie Stabenow is more liberal than Elizabeth Warren, and she supports things that many people in the state, a state that Donald Trump won, absolutely find reprehensible in a lot of cases. Senator Stabenow is not bipartisan. In fact, she votes with Chuck Schumer 95% of the time and Hillary Clinton 93% of the time, and that's a solid A as a New York senator. That's a failure in leadership. She does not represent Michigan. She represents New York, and that needs to change on November 6th.
Have you been interviewed much by big media, by NBC, ABC, CBS? Have you been interviewed much by CNN or MSNBC? No,
I've been interviewed by Fox and a bunch of local areas, local stations here. But that's kind of indicative of the situation we live in right now. You see a lot of Stacey Abrams and Andrew Gillum talking about their first, but when you talk about the first the first African American senator from the state of Michigan, and only the third since the '60s, you hear crickets from the liberal progressive media. We really are just praying hard and working hard and getting the word out there. And as I mentioned, our fundraising and our polling numbers have this race in play. I think we're going to shock a lot of people on November 6th.
I want all the people listening to this program all over, and we're all over the state of Michigan, all you Levinites out there, please go to johnjamesforsenate.com and give what you can give to help this campaign. Grassroots out there, all you Levinites, you need to come out on Election Day. I would love to see you in the Senator, as a Senator, John James. You would be absolutely terrific. I wish you all the best.
And God bless. Thanks a lot, Mark.
And God bless to you, too. Come on, folks. Come on, Michigan. Let's do it. I'll be right back.